ready?
Let's do.
Hey, and welcome to Talk Heathen! Today is May 31st, 2020. It is season 4, episode 22. I'm Eric Murphy.
I'm Bianca.
Hello!
Hi.
Oh, my goodness. All of that not going and getting here just in time is that's actually pretty nice, honestly.
Yeah, right. To stay to be
pants.
seated the whole time. It's really good.
V, how have you been this week?
You know, I've been okay. Some current events have left me feeling a little bit shaken and a little bit angry. But I figured I'm here. This is my platform. I'm going to do what I can for promoting free speech and an equitable society for everybody from however I can. So.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel the same way. I had trouble sleeping last night wondering how to approach this, and I know that we're all a team. We're doing this together, and I'm grateful for it. It has definitely had a pretty serious impact. I just hope everyone's safe and doing well. That said, I've had a lot of stuff happen this week, a lot of positive stuff in my life, and I just don't feel like talking about it.
Yeah.
It can take a freaking back seat, and maybe it can wait till another week. That said, V, are you ready to take on some calls? Are there any other big announcements we've got? Yeah, there is a big announcement. We have a new board. AC elections were yesterday, and I just want to say congratulations to everyone who is a board member now for the ACA. So cheers to them. I'm very hopeful. I'm very excited, and I can't wait to see what this year's board will bring about. Also, the nonprofits is going to be in the Discord after the show at 3 p.m. Our Central. So make sure that you drop by for that. Alrighty, V, we were talking about Nindo in New York. Let's talk to Nindo. Nindo, you're live with Eric and V. What would you like to talk about today?
Yes. I want to talk about an argument for a designer god.
Okay, like a Louis Vuitton god?
No, not like a Louis Vuitton god.
Oh, okay. What kind of god? Tell me about him.
I gotta see if we agree on some terms first.
I like that. Nice. Okay, you were agreeing on. Yes. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Do you agree that the universe gives off the impression or the appearance of design?
No.
Like most people. Well, most physicists will disagree with you and cosmologists.
I really don't care. You're talking to me, and if you're going to use the argument from authority, then we're done. Talk to me and talk to V.
Okay, does V agree with me?
I can understand how some people would think so. I myself do not. I also think that our understanding of design and, oh, wow, the world is so perfect for humans I was thinking about this the other day. I think it's a lot to do with the fact that we live in a modern society where the elements and wild animals and other humans are not constantly, going to kill us the next day. So I think that a lot of the idea of us being in a world designed for us has to do with the fact that we fucking designed it to best accommodate us. But I pressed my case with that.
I'm sorry. I only assumed that you thought that because I was watching an episode with Eric and Matt Dillahunty, and Matt Dillahunty expressed that he felt that the universe had the appearance of design, and Eric didn't agree with him. He was actually shaking his head. He didn't verbally agree, but you did shake your head up and down. I can even note the end.
So if you want to talk to Matt, I suggest calling into AXP. But I'd be happy to explain where I'm going with this. And that is that generally in these conversations, the appearance of design doesn't necessarily mean what I'm trying to express. And so I find that because that terminology has been loaded, I'd rather describe what I see instead of saying it has the appearance of design. Is that fair?
Okay. Yes, cool. To be fair, I'm not saying it's designed. The appearance of design does not say it's designed. It's just,
I understand. I guess I just, I'll give you an example. When I was a kid, I used to love collecting rocks, and I had a pretty awesome collection of geodes and crystals and things like that. And it's amazing what happens naturally, what forms naturally from the earth without any human intervention, right? And you can see in the physics of the universe that we inhabit that a lot of people will take the idea of design and say either it's designed or it's totally random. And I disagree with the random assertion. And so I might be strawmanning you here. Do you think the opposite of design is random? Maybe agreeing on terms and definitions would be good.
I mean, I would accept that, yeah.
Okay, so I'm happy to tell you I don't think we live in a random universe. I think we live in a universe where if I drop a thing because I'm on a planet that has gravity, that thing will fall to the ground, right? If it was entirely random, that wouldn't happen, right? And because we live in a universe that has all of these different characteristics, I wouldn't say that random is something that you could apply to this universe. And so if the only two choices are random and designed, then I couldn't pick either. Do you get what I mean? I think that we live in a natural universe that is amazing, that has a whole lot of qualities that surprise us every day, that can have the appearance of design in that way, sure. But I try and stay away from saying the appearance of design because, I mean, people have misquoted other atheists for decades because they've said, oh, it has the appearance of design, but no, quote mine, taking it, going. You know what I mean? It just hasn't helped.
Okay, do you agree we cannot be absolutely certain about anything?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hold all your beliefs tentatively and make sure that you apportion your confidence to the evidence available.
Okay, you live your life as if you're in a universe, in a world where other people are around you. Do you know that for sure?
I don't know anything for sure.
Are we
Nindo,
going?
you could be a figment of my imagination. Who cares?
That you live as if it is, right?
Right.
Okay, why don't you live as if it's not?
Because I would starve to death if I thought that I wasn't gonna, if I stopped eating. Right. I'm confident that if I stopped eating, I would starve to death. I'm confident that if I tried to breathe in a pool, underwater, that I would suffocate. Whether or not it's a figment of my imagination, I'm still going to behave in this world that I'm in, following the same rules that I'm seeing everywhere else. Why would I risk it?
I think you're describing solipsism. If you're a solipsist, you would still be allowed to eat. You would just think everything else is imaginary, figment of imagination. You would still.
How do brains and bats eat?
Exactly.
No, I think I know where you're going with this, Nindo. Let me jump in and see if I can cut to the chase here a little bit. Are you going off of the idea, well, if it's the appearance of other people in the world influencing us to act as though there are other people in the world, why wouldn't the appearance of design influence us to believe in a designer?
Yes. Why am I irrational for believing there's a designer if you're not irrational for believing there's other people around you?
The second that you can show me a design... The second you can show me a designer God as present and apparent and testable and provable as the other people around me, then we can have this conversation again.
Until then, yeah, Louis Vuitton has far more evidence.
Yeah, I can show you how the world seems designed just like you think the world seems to be, you and other people around you, right?
Well, no, because here's the difference. Here's the difference. Say you went into a room, right? And every time you went into the room, something else was moved, or there were footprints or something, right? And so another person was like, "Oh, there are other people in here." You're like, "Well, I don't see other people." "Oh, well, they were in here. They moved stuff around. They left footprints. Can't you see?" Well, yeah, but I'm not seeing the other people. I'm not going to take your word for the fact that, you know, it wasn't you or you know, whatever. It's not the same. We're not talking about the appearance that other people exist. We're talking about the fact that we can prove to the best of our ability that other people exist. Now, I'm not saying that 100% certainty, without a doubt, you know, like there's always room for that doubt, right? But to the best of our ability, we understand that there are other people see that. Like, you know what I mean? And there's a difference between saying, hey, other people, there's traffic, therefore other people, as opposed to saying, hey, there's a designer because this is how I'm interpreting the world.
Can I respond to the example you gave?
Sure.
You said that we could see other footprints, right, of other people. Well, if you're a solipsist, those footprints will be imagined, right, by you, right? So that wouldn't be the case.
V, are you a solipsist?
No, I'm just saying there is no evidence for both, but you choose.
Nindo, that's a false equivalence.
Yeah, no, I think you missed where I was going with that. That might be my fault. I may not have communicated that clearly. My apologies. My point is, you are talking about looking at a thing on one hand, people existing, and talking about looking at a body of questionably strong evidence on another hand to make the assumption of something else. We're not comparing two sets of evidence. We're comparing a thing and then evidence of a thing, and we can't do that. That's not possible. Do you understand? Does that make sense?
Yes, I understand. Yes,
Okay.
I understand. But I'm also looking at a universe that appears to be designed just like me and many other people think.
Okay.
So why am I irrational for using the senses that I have?
Nindo, did I say that you're irrational?
No.
Did we say that you're irrational?
No, I'm not irrational.
Or are you using this platform to get pissed off and blow off steam about a conversation you had with other people? Ask us before you start defending a position that we didn't put on you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me ask you. Am I irrational for thinking that the universe had a designer when it appears to be designed?
Totally depends on the tools that you have available to explore that question. Totally depends.
I have the same tools you have. I have the same tools you have.
Ah, but we're using different ones. See, we're using skepticism. What are you using?
I'm using the senses that I have. I don't have anything else other to work with than the senses that have been given.
Right. So there are structures that we put to our thinking and how we approach ideas and how we approach concepts and how we decipher the world around us. For us, skepticism helps because if I am wrong about something, I want to know. And so I want to predict it. I want to see how could I possibly be wrong about this thing? Because if I can find something and it stands up to scrutiny to the best of my ability, I can assign a higher confidence value to that thing. And so the first thing I'm going to do, and I do this, you can ask the people in my life, I tear a lot of things down, a lot of things in my personal life, because I want to try and have a clear idea and a very clear understanding of what's around me. It's not just you, and it's not just your belief system. It's skepticism applied. And so we look at this and you say, hey, the universe has the appearance of design. Okay, now let's look at it skeptically. Could you be wrong? Sure. I mean, are you saying that you know for a fact without a doubt that you couldn't be wrong? Like, you could be wrong, right?
We just agreed that nothing is absolute, so I could be wrong, but I'm not going to deny the only senses I have.
Well, so I'm not asking you to. I'm not asking you to. I'm bringing you with me, Nindo. So you could be wrong. I could be wrong. Now, how do we tell the difference? Okay, well, what can we explain about the universe around us? Right. Last week I talked about Laplace. Right. The idea that or the example of someone charting the movements of the planets and, you know, other celestial bodies and not having a place for God because there was no need of that hypothesis. There was no need of it. Can we have this world that we're in? Is it possible that this world that we're in could have come about naturally? Well, we do have evidence of natural processes. We see them every day. And so how much can we describe? How much can we learn about those things that we don't know? Because right now, I can tell you that for the things that we have been able to describe and replicate, we have natural explanations. I don't have any examples of magic being an explanation that is replicable or that has undergone rigorous study. People have tried, right? I don't know if you know about the $1 million challenge that James Randi did for a long time, trying to and hoping to bring people out who could challenge that they could study it. Nobody ever won the $1 million. So when you're saying it has the appearance of design, therefore God, who is to say that there's any kind of creature that could create a universe? I haven't seen one. Have you? So why are you making the assumption? Wouldn't it be better to ask the questions and follow where the evidence leads? Because it sounds like what you're doing is saying you can't get your head out of a box because solipsism, I'm right. And that doesn't feel good. Please tell me where I'm wrong.
Okay. All right. You said I can't get my head out of a box, solipsism, therefore I'm right. I mean, I don't know if you're straw manning me, but
I'm asking you. I don't want to straw man you. I want you to correct me.
No, I'm saying you agree that nothing is absolute. You're not absolutely sure about anything. Could be a brain in a vat, and you could not be a brain in a vat, but you choose to live as if you're not a brain in a vat because that's what appears to be true about the reality that you experience. Well,
here's Nindo. Here's another thing. Okay, listen. Here's where I am having a problem with this. Apart from the scientific stuff, which also have problems with, but in your example, you're saying, well, we can't know anything. Therefore, it seems to me like you're saying everything is equally weighted and everything has an equal possibility or percentage chance of being true or false. Just because I say I can never be 100% certain about something does not mean that everything is 50-50, right? There are some things that are easier to predict and easier to test and easier to prove to the best of our ability than others. So just because we're saying we can't be 100% certain about anything doesn't mean that there's a 50-50% chance that I'll sprout wings and fly tomorrow, right? It's there. You know what I mean? You can't say therefore everything is possible equally. That's not how that works.
No, I'm not saying it's 50-50. I agree. It's better to live as if we live around other people, as if there's other people in the universe, than to live as a solipsist. I agree, because there's evidence towards that. And given this,
what evidence would I'm curious, because this is sounding like a pragmatic approach now. You're saying that we should believe things are true if they're useful. Is that where you're going with this?
No, I'm saying we can't be 100% certain, so it's not 50-50. You go where the evidence leans a little more. So I would choose to live in a world where there's other people around me rather than a solipsist. And when we look at the world and we question if there's a designer or not, according to physicists and cosmologists, they mostly agree that there's an appearance of design. So that pushes the evidence a little bit towards that side of it. So
well, here, I think we're both. Yeah. Can you give me quotes from these physicists and cosmologists that call the universe, not the Richard Dawkins quote, every single week, not
because
that one.
There's a comma and then but.
Right.
So
every single person takes that out of context.
Or don't. But if you're going to say the quote, say the whole thing.
Matt Dillahunty.
Matt is a great guy. He's not a physicist. He's not a cosmologist. Where are these experts that you're quoting? Don't give me half of a Dawkins quote. Yeah. Don't give me half of a quote. Give me a full quote. Give me a paper. Give me some kind of thing that you're referencing when you say this, because that honestly would be good evidence for me, right? You point me to a peer-reviewed source by cosmologists who say that what you're saying is correct, and then we can have a conversation. But until then, you're just making assertions.
So you disagree? Okay. What about the astronomer Fred Hoyle?
What about him?
He said the appearance of the design is. Yeah. He agrees with me.
Can you give me the full quote, or are you just going to use the same word? I've used the term appearance of design in this conversation. That doesn't mean I believe that that's the case.
Okay, I'll give you the quote right now. Okay, my atheism was greatly shaken by these developments, and he's talking about a fine tuning. He went on to talk about fine tuning and special features of the universe and how it's perfectly aligned for us to exist, for our species to exist, our intellect. And he went on and on. That's Fred Hoyle. I can give you can look up his name and just type Fred Hoyle, appearance of design, it'll come up. And there's many others, but I just don't have their names now. The information is out there.
Wait. This is the same Fred Hoyle who rejected the Big Bang Theory and promoted panspermia as the origin of life on Earth? Same dude?
I don't know. I don't know about the Big Bang Theory, and I don't know about if he rejected those. I just read about the appearance of design. I didn't look up anything else because that's what I was defending today.
Sure.
Okay.
That sounds like it might be leaning toward confirmation bias, don't you think?
No. You wanted these quotes, but this is what I see myself. This is what I feel using my senses.
So okay. There's another piece of skepticism, and it's not just skepticism, but what we want to do is we want to make sure that what we want to be true is not negatively impacting our ability to research and look for it, because we do have confirmation bias. It's a thing, and we all need to account for it. And so, but I kind of just want to back up just a little bit here, if I may. Okay. So I've read several Dawkins books that have talked about the appearance of design. In each one, there's a ... but it's not designed, or but there's the illusion, and there's the illusion of design, but it's just that it's an illusion, or it may have the appearance of design until you look into it, sure. But because I read the books, I can tell you that trying to contextualize it the way you are is not okay. It's just not. So let's give you a tool that I think is useful. Occam's razor.
Okay.
Do you know what Occam's razor is? If you do, then I can find something else entirely, and we can go in a different direction.
I know Occam's razor, and it doesn't apply to this.
Okay, hold on. So let's focus that on solipsism. Right? There's the world that we're in, and then there's the world that we're in as seen through a brain in a vat. Which one has more assumptions?
The solipsist view.
You're right. Therefore, I feel a lot more justified in using Occam's razor to cut that one out. That is a reasonable way to approach solipsism, and that's how I do it. So let's take a look at the universe. Let's look at the instantiate, the beginnings of the universe. What has more assumptions? Now, I'm not saying that that's necessarily going to get you to truth every time, because sometimes there are amazing explanations for things that are just totally non-intuitive. But if we're spitballing, which we are, I'm assuming you're not a cosmologist. I know I'm not. Then let's see which one has more assumptions. That the universe, however it began, or if it began, is natural, or that there is some kind of magic to it. I mean, what word would you use to describe God creating a universe other than magic?
Okay, you want me to apply Occam's razor?
Yes.
While we're still under the assumption that, are you going to grant me that the universe appears to be designed? Are we still under that assumption?
I don't think we were ever under that assumption. All
No,
three of us. I think that was you.
Yeah, we were responding to it. I think that we live in a universe that has laws. And
if you apply Occam's razor, right? Let me answer that question. If you apply Occam's razor, right, to what you just said, I think there's more of an explanation if you cut off the designer, because then you have zero cause. You can't,
that's okay.
you can't cut off. You have zero cause.
That's fine.
So, okay, what's more logical, zero cause or a designer who caused?
Yeah, so sorry. I don't know is different than zero, I guess, if you're drawing that distinction. Let's make sure we're clear. I don't know is different from I'm going to assume something because I abhor a vacuum. Who cares if it makes you comfortable? Who cares if we don't have the answer? At least say I don't know, because it's intellectually honest.
No, Eric, you applied Occam's razor wrong, because you can't apply it until there's zero. You made it a zero by eliminating a cause.
No. Hold on. No, because if you're going to add magical assumptions in, then I can add magical assumptions in. I created the universe. I'm here. I exist. Hi, there's more evidence for me than your God. Ta-da. Applied.
Yeah, but you existed. It had nothing to do with the origins of the universe. We're talking about the cause.
No, I was there. Nindo. Don't you believe me?
You were there.
Yeah, I wrote it in the book.
Well, yeah, but that goes everything we know against everything we know.
No, you know about me. You read about me in my book.
No, everything we know about science and the human anatomy. Now you're just saying stuff. Now you're just saying things.
It sucks, doesn't it? When you're just saying stuff, even though you don't have evidence behind you, even though you're just throwing out assertions and saying that, oh no, there's a non-zero chance of that, dude. We don't live in a magical universe.
Can you admit that you applied Occam's razor wrongly in this case?
No, Occam's razor has nothing to do with getting down to zero.
So we're talking about.
No, you got down to zero, not me. You got down to it. Occam's razor doesn't work if you get down to zero. There has to be the minimum clause, or the minimum.
Okay, so hold on. Let me go with you there. Would you say that if we're applying it the way you're talking about it, that there's an equally likely chance that it is equally likely that your God created it? It's equally likely that I created it. It's equally likely that unicorns created it or fairies created it, and it's equally likely that anything anyone could make up created it. Would you say that all of those things are equal given that?
Yeah, now you're applying red herrings when you mention unicorns and stuff like that. You know what I mean when I say designer God.
No, I'm asking you because so you're throwing out a magical answer to things, and you're saying it's better than nothing.
See, you're using that word magical as a red herring. Magical.
Is God not magical?
What's more likely?
Hold on. Is God not magical? Please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to straw man you here. Is God not magical?
I don't want to say no. It's just the way you use that word in certain words. You know what I mean.
Give me a different word. That's okay. Give me a different word. Intelligence,
all powerful, transcendent.
Okay, well, I can't follow you with all powerful. I mean, there are logical problems with that. There's no
maximally powerful.
Maximally powerful. Okay. Is there anything that's maximally powerful? Like, can I point to a maximally stinky thing, or a maximally bright thing, or a maximally blue thing? I mean, if we're talking about descriptors here, does maximal mean that? I don't understand how you have evidence of that being a thing.
Okay, let's go back to Occam's razor. What's more likely, okay, that a universe that appears to be designed and fine-tuned, appears, I didn't say it is, was created by a designer, or a universe that appears to be designed and fine-tuned just came out of by itself or any other means other than a designer? What's more?
Okay, there is zero. No, hold on. There is zero evidence of fine tuning. We live on a planet that is mostly impossible to live on. Why? Because it's mostly water. That doesn't seem fine-tuned.
Yet
That
we
doesn't
live.
seem made for us.
Yet
It
we
seems like the
live.
vast majority of the universe is empty space that we can't breathe in. So if it was fine-tuned, it was definitely not fine-tuned for us.
But yet we're alive. It was fine-tuned for life. I didn't say only us. It was fine-tuned for life. You can.
What percentage of the universe is fine-tuned for life, Nindo?
The percentage that life lives on.
I mean,
come on.
yeah, you backed yourself into that one, man. So the vast majority of the universe is empty space.
No, you don't understand the fine-tuning argument. The point is we're alive, and the only way that we're alive, the only reason for it is the universe is the way it is, specifically fine-tuned.
Hold on.
See, you're putting that word in there. I was up to you to a point, but then you put fine tune in there. Yeah, we're alive, and that's all that matters. And I agree with that. Mm-hmm. Yes, we happen to be on a planet that supports this form of carbon-based life. I also agree with that. The idea that it is fine tuned is something you just dropped in there. Why did you drop that in there?
Can I explain? I'll explain why I dropped it.
Sure, please.
Okay. And again, I'm going to say appearance of fine-tuning, all right? Now,
I think that you're putting appearance of in there just so you can use the words you like using.
No. Listen. Okay, if we change one thing about the Earth, its orbit, its distance, whatever, will we be here? Or this form of life be here? I know the argument, maybe another form of life will be here, but would we be here?
Possibly.
I have no idea, man. That is for people far smarter than me. I'll defer.
Possibly, yeah. And they all say you change one thing, 1 degree, and life as we know it is not the same.
I think you got to redefine all.
No, that's not accurate. That's not accurate, Nindo. Various parts of our existence, our ecosystem, the force of gravity, how close we are to the sun at any given point, change by more than 1 degree, whatever a degree means in this context. The components of what make this atmosphere and this ecosystem work are constantly changing. And we're still here.
Yeah. On top of that, we don't travel in a perfect circle around the sun. We travel in an elliptical orbit. That means that we are, throughout the year, getting closer to and further away from the sun. So please tell me again that if 1 degree changed, that we would all be dead or not be here, because it changes all year long.
Because if your argument is going to be, well, if it changed to the point that life could not exist, then life could not exist, then that's not useful.
Let me be more specific, okay? Can we live on the planet Jupiter?
Not yet.
No, we can't, okay? There's no not yet.
It doesn't seem fine-tuned.
Currently now, we can't live on there. But
correct.
We live on Earth. You know why? Because Earth gives the appearance of fine-tuning, because we're here, but we're not in Jupiter. So Earth gives the appearance is fine-tuned for life to exist. And Jupiter is not fine-tuned for life to exist.
Can a puddle collect on a flat surface as well as it can in a divot?
What?
Can a puddle collapse? Can a puddle exist on a flat surface with no divots, or can it only exist in some circumstances?
What does that have to do with anything?
It's a good point.
We've been following you around. We've been following you around. Follow me for a minute. Can a puddle exist equally well on a flat surface with no divots, or can it exist better in a hole?
I know where you're going with this, and that doesn't apply, because I'm not talking about equally well. I'm talking about just...
Answer yes or no, Nindo, yes or no?
Yeah, okay, no.
Okay. Does that mean that the hole was created to house a puddle? Is that the reason that the hole was made?
Oh, you're talking about that galaxy, that book? forgot.
Hitchhiker's Guide.
Douglas Adams, yes.
It's actually not
Because
a Hitchhiker's Guide.
honestly,
Sorry, it's in the-
you're saying the same thing. Honestly, you're saying, well, we can't exist on Jupiter, but we can exist on Earth. Yeah, and a puddle can't exist on a flat surface, but it can in a one with a hole in it. So.
Yeah, but that's something different. You know why? Because the transcendent puddle is actually saying it was designed for me. I'm not saying Earth was designed for. I'm saying Earth was designed for life to sustain.
No, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is that you are making a claim that because something exists, it exists there for a reason. It was intended to exist there. The puddle analogy is to. You're not saying that the reason we exist on Earth and not Jupiter is because we were supposed to exist here because it appeared to be fine-tuned by an intelligent God? That seems to be your argument.
No. Okay, you're not understanding the fine.
Wow. Okay, I completely misunderstood this. Can you please restate your thesis?
Yeah, and by the way, I just want to make sure before anybody calls me out on it, it's the salmon of doubt. But go ahead.
You're not understanding the fine-tuning argument. Okay.
We understand it very well. We disagree with it, Nindo. We disagree with it, and we're giving you damn good reasons.
How can you disagree with the appearance of fine-tuning if we can't live anywhere else as far as we know other than Earth?
Okay, Nindo, I'm gonna say this right now. I'm prefacing this. You as a person, I'm sure, are fine, but this idea is what I'm reacting to. Okay, it doesn't seem fine-tuned because if it was fine-tuned, it would be a hell of a lot better than it is now. Right? I mean, there would be more of the Earth that's inhabitable. There would be more arable farmland. And hell, if it was fine-tuned, Jupiter would be habitable, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be better? So either that fine-tuner is a fucking idiot, or they're indistinguishable from not being there at all.
Wait, why would Jupiter be better?
It would be better. Don't you agree that it would be better to have more arable land on other planets that we could also inhabit?
You know that this planet can
answer me that first. Answer me about Jupiter. Would it be better to have more Earths that we could inhabit?
It would be better to have more Earths.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Sure, I agree.
This Earth can sustain 18 billion people. You know that, right? That's what it's built to withstand. That's what people are saying. That's what people
are saying.
I really don't care about what people are saying, especially if they're talking like that, because holy crap, man. Look at climate science. We are destroying this planet. If we had another planet, if we had something as big as Jupiter to move to, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
why? Because we don't live in a fine-tuned universe. And if it was very stupidly fine-tuned. Now, I will agree that your stupid, very stupid designer might be there. I'm not saying that because it's done badly that it's not there. But I will agree with you so long as you meet me there in the middle and go, okay, it could have been done a whole lot better, but it wasn't. So can we meet there?
So you're basically saying you're never going to be satisfied, right? Your argument against the fine-tuning.
Nindo.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Try again, buddy. Why don't you just answer the fucking question or meet us where we're at? Listen, because what you just did is you said, that sounds a whole lot to me like I can't be right. I don't see myself winning this argument. So no matter what I do, you're not going to believe. No, we'll believe. Show us the levers that dictate and guide the universe. Show us the dials that we can change gravity and the constants of physics around us. Show me how those things can be fine-tuned, and I'll grant you that fine-tuning can happen. But until that point, it's just what it is.
And it's just what it is that we can't live on any other planet as far as we know, only Earth.
No one's debating that. That's not.
I'm glad we found something to agree with.
Yeah, cool. We did it. Yay.
Yay.
I was being sarcastic, but yeah.
Oh, so were we. Okay, anyway. I think we should probably move on. I don't think we're getting any farther with this call.
Yeah, here's the thing, man. You as a person, engaging with you can be worthwhile. But it sounds like you were trying to represent an idea and saying, well, this isn't going well. You're just not understanding the fine-tuning argument. You said that several times. I'd rather talk to you, man. I'd rather talk to you and engage with you. But it seems like that's not what your intent was. And if that's the case, then yeah, we're only going to have so much time for the fine-tuning argument. That said, it looks like you've called before under different names. It's fine that you use different names. Just be consistent. Otherwise, we're not going to have any idea of how our conversation has progressed, and that wouldn't be very helpful.
Myself, whatever I want to call myself, am I not allowed to do that?
Oh my gosh, did you listen to a word I said?
You said I called by a different name. Okay, I said okay, I did. Why am I not allowed
and why did I ask you to maybe call in with the same name? So we can track our conversation across calls. If you think that's not worth it, then we can talk to people who will. You have all your freedoms, buddy, but you do not have a right to this show. Bye.
But sometimes I might.
Okay.
He was in a mood. And honestly, like, here's the deal, guys. If we're not getting it, that's not on us. Like, if I mean, to an extent, we're trying here. We're here. We want to talk with you. But if you're not representing an argument well or not convincing us, it's not our fault. We're not convinced yet. And it's not that we're just never going to be convinced by anything. It's just that you maybe need to do a little bit more research into your argument of choice and present your case a little bit fucking better.
Yeah, it's again, there's a difference between the person and the idea. The thing is I thought we brought up a whole bunch of different ways to approach that idea. I thought we brought up a whole bunch of different directions to go in with it. And it didn't feel like we were getting very much progress. It felt like it was just the same thing over and over.
No, we were following him around, and he wouldn't give us the same courtesy. So It's got to be give and take, you guys.
But speaking of me yelling, it looks like somebody got yelled at by an atheist. And I want to address that. Joe in New York, you're live with Eric and V. Hi.
Oh, hi. Did you say Joe in New York? There was a big... Hi there. Hi.
Sorry, there might be some delay in the line, man. Go ahead. What's up?
Yeah. My experience with YouTube atheists, okay, especially the ones in the comment sections of like atheist experience videos, because I was on the atheist experience 4 times, and 3 out of 4 times I was hung up on out of nowhere, and then the 4th time I wasn't hung up on exactly, but still the conclusion that Matt Dillahunty and Jenna Belk came to, based on what I brought to the show, was very dissatisfying to me.
Well, I can't speak to our older sister show because I'm not either of them, and neither is V. But if you want to talk to us, we'd be happy to talk to you. Very quickly, I understand that YouTube comments can be mean. I've guested on Christian shows where people have gone down and said they're so excited, and they're going to be so excited to see me burning in hell that I should kill myself. That just tons and tons of things, how I should kill myself. So I understand YouTube comments can be mean, and that really sucks.
Yeah.
I hope that we as groups on both sides can agree to elevate the discourse. I can't control people, and I hope that we can do that together. But I hope that you don't think that that's just that's people, man. People are crappy.
You're right. I agree with that. Yeah, I know. There's some. I think there are some Christians, but the thing that I would say, all right, I mean, is that they're not real Christians. That's what I would. That's what I would say. All right.
Okay. How does that get away from the no true Scotsman argument first?
How is it? What? I'm sorry, I missed you.
Sure. How did you resolve the no true Scotsman issue first?
A no true Scotsman. I'm not familiar much with philosophical lingo.
I'm sorry. I have been accused of being very snooty when it comes to that. I need to do better about that. I apologize. So no true Scotsman. It's the idea of being a gatekeeper and cutting people out of things that they're identified with based on things that don't really matter. What's the original? How's the original?
Yeah. So the original No True Scotsman it looks like this. Person 1 says, "No Scotsman puts sugar in his porridge."
But
And then
we know, our friend over there, Tim, and he was born and raised in Scotland, and he's putting sugar in his porridge right now.
But Eric, he's not a true Scotsman then. No true Scotsman puts sugar in their porridge. See, so it's this attempt to get around examples that counteract your understanding of a thing by saying, oh, well, it just doesn't count. And so one way to do that would be, oh, well, those are not real internet atheists if they offended you. We don't claim them. They don't get the label or anything. And so we're trying not to do that. We're saying, hey, yes, some internet atheists kind of suck sometimes and YouTube comments can be mean. But we're not discounting their identity.
Right.
So we're just asking you do the same here.
Yeah, and also just applied in my personal experience, and V, I'm just going to assume it's applied in your experience as well. But when I was a Christian, we would see other people who identified themselves as Christians and be like, whoa, those are not true Christians. Nope, They don't follow the Bible. They don't follow the Bible the way I do. They are not true Christians. And it seems to be a way that each of those Christian groups are all trying to invalidate each other. But on the outside, if somebody calls us and says, hey, Talk Heathen, I'm a Christian. Well, we could say, oh, but are you a true Christian? How are we going to test it? Or we can go, okay, you're a Christian. We're not in the business of telling Christians who they are or what they believe. What do you believe and why? And we meet them where they're at. So if you say you're a Christian, we'll agree. But I would say that it would be very discourteous to cut out all Christians that don't believe exactly what you believe, because, well,
or act in the way that you would act. Like if you're not one of those people who would wish to see us burning in hell, that's great. Like, cool. I want to talk to you more now that I know that. But that doesn't mean that everybody who disagrees with you or thinks something you would disagree with don't count, right? Because then if we go by that logic, then things get very small very quick. So we can either have Christianity as this very large, billions of people believe it, billions of people are Christians, we outnumber other religious groups, or we can have only the people who think and act and have my same moral standards are actual Christians, in which case that gets really small really quick.
And again, it's not just a Christian thing,
right? Exactly.
Jennifer Isaacs in the chat just put, I dislike when theists or any gatekeeper of any labels invalidate people. We have that on our side. It's just a human thing. So you were saying that no true Christian, and I just wanted to ask you, how did you get away from the no true Scotsman thing?
Well, I mean, when I'm judging who a Christian is, I go by what I feel in my heart Jesus Christ himself would do. And he would never say, oh, I want to see you burn in hell. That's not Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, I'm not quite sure if this is in the Bible somewhere, but I believe, God wants all of his children to return to him. God doesn't want to see people burning in hell.
So actually, can I would love to kind of engage you in that place, because the No True Scotsman thing we've done a lot, but I have to ask you, man. So you're saying God wants us all to go to heaven, right?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming, based on my experience as a Christian, that this is kind of the testing ground. We're behaving with free will and having the autonomy to make decisions and are being judged based on those decisions, right?
Yeah.
And if we choose to commit evil acts and behave immorally, then we would judge not worthy and be sent to hell if we hadn't taken Jesus into our hearts, right? The sinner's prayer.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I just want to make sure I'm not strawmanning you here on this. And I remember focusing very heavily on the free will piece, right? You have to make the choice. Is there free will in heaven?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you commit evil in heaven?
I don't think so.
When I was a Christian, I didn't either. But here's the thing. If you could have free will and choices in heaven and still not, choose and still not do evil things, then why would God do this to us? I mean, it's the problem of evil, essentially, is what it is. It's, bad things happen. You have to experience bad things. But that doesn't mean that all of those bad things have to be as bad as they are, right? Why don't we just get skinned knees? Why do we have to get cancer? Why do we have to starve to death? Why don't we just have mild inconveniences? But, even deeper at that really dark level, I don't know how you could possibly have a heaven where you're not an automaton, because if you could have free will in heaven, then that means that God can make a world without evil and chose to instead. And that would make, it doesn't mean that your God doesn't exist, but it would definitely mean that God would be evil. What do you think?
I'm sorry. If he creates a heaven that has free will, then it means he's evil? I didn't get you there.
Sure. No problem. I'll say it again, right? If God could create a heaven with free will, that means that we could live the lives that we have here on earth with free will without evil. Because God already proved the point that they could make a paradise where everyone could still have free will and make choices. So God would have chosen, in this case, if you believe in sin, because I'm reaching back into when I was a believer, right? You have sin being in the world, but that would have been a creation by God that was unnecessary. What are your thoughts? Have you kind of wrestled with that? What was your take?
I've wrestled with it. Because it's a really challenging kind of subject. And so God, God himself is free, and he doesn't want children who don't really appreciate the value of goodness and love. He wants people who do appreciate goodness and love, and the only way you get that is by having free will. Because if God just creates people to,
I don't know about that. Well, let's investigate that, because that's a really interesting claim, Joe. Because could God create people who appreciate goodness and honesty and all of that, and have free will? Can God create people to have those characteristics and free will?
Yeah, I wasn't saying that was not what he created. I'm saying that's what he is. That's what he did create. He created people with free will who.
So everyone goes to heaven.
No, because some people make mistakes using their free will.
But hold on, you just said that God could make us so that we wouldn't make that particular mistake, and we'd still be able to have free will. So, what?
No. If he makes it so that you can't make mistakes, then that's not free will.
We don't.
Joe, I can't fly. Because I cannot fly, does that mean I don't have free will?
Can't breathe underwater.
There are things we can't do that apparently we were created to not do, but that doesn't impact our free will. Why isn't it just we can't murder someone? That's just not something we're capable of. That wouldn't impact free will in every other area of our life.
Even our thoughts, man. Our ability as a species to understand big numbers or long amounts of time, geological time, we're just not really equipped for it. It doesn't mean that. Wouldn't that be the same? There are limitations, but yeah, like Fee said, they're not restrictions on our free will. If we have free will, we're meeting you pretty far where you're at to have this conversation, by the way.
I missed that because there was some laughing. What did you say?
Oh, I finished that by saying we're meeting you pretty far where you're at to have this conversation, by the way. I mean, just because it's an interesting one to have, I think. What do you think? Do you really think that by taking away our ability to wind up in eternal suffering, and don't get me started on whether or not that's okay, because I think that's entirely wrong, but we'll just shelve that for now. But why would God even give us the choice to be able to do that? I mean, you don't do that to your kid. You put up a baby gate so they don't go where they're not supposed to go. It doesn't mean you're restricting their free will. It means you care about them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't exactly know, but I think. What?
Whoa. You said I don't exactly know. I just wanted to say, awesome. There are a lot of people who are incredibly uncomfortable with saying, I don't know. Like, it gives you that weird feeling right there in your chest, you know? And it's like, I don't know. But it's awesome. Cheers. Go ahead.
Yeah. Shoot, I kind of forgot what I was going to say now.
I talked over you. Damn it. I'm sorry, man.
It's okay.
How about this? How about put something good together, and we'll try and avoid the no true Scotsman, because you're not going to say, well, those aren't true Christians. We'll have a topic, and we'll address it well the next time you call in. We're not going anywhere, brother. It's okay.
Yeah.
Call back, and we'll talk to you again. Okay, man?
All righty.
All right. Take care of yourself, brother.
Thanks, you too. Okay, bye.
Bye.
In the notes, it was all in caps. Atheists.
Yeah.
What did it say? Atheists were being really rude in the comments.
Yeah, atheists just have criminal mindsets or something. But no, I think this is the point of this show. We talk people down, and we get them at least hopefully somewhat on the same page. I think that we made progress with that call. I'm excited for Joe to call back in next week.
Me too. And I'm not trying to talk crap after the fact. I'm just, it's interesting because I wanted to jump in right away and be like, no, people suck.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, people suck to the people on the shows that they're watching, let alone the callers. Like there are going to be trolls in every chat, and some of them are going to go after you for one reason or another.
And it's where they live. I mean,
yeah, they live in the. You go under a bridge, you're gonna hit a troll. That's just how that goes.
Yeah, and honestly, personally, when I look at it nowadays, I see a whole lot of people who are blowing steam in a place that they feel they are comfortable in doing that. I'd rather them write a screed in not the chat, in the comments, than take that screed to their family. Cool. You know, yeah. It doesn't make us any more or less, ruthless. It doesn't mean that atheists are the only people who do that. It's just people. But, I like to think that I no longer leave as angry, ruthless comments under things as I did before. And I hope and think to myself that that's where they are in their journey. And they'll move past it. So...
Sounds about right. Can we talk to Father John in Canada?
Yes. We're on the same wavelength today, V. I love it. Father John in Canada. Hello.
Yes. Does this show end at 1:00?
It does not.
That's my time zone.
No worries,
no, you're
man.
good.
Yeah, we've got time. Actually...
Okay, no, that's okay. Sorry, go
So
ahead.
while we also have time and we've got plenty of other callers and we're going to talk to you, there's something I forgot at the beginning of the episode. And that is, really quickly, Father John, if you don't mind, I'm just going to plug this really quickly. The atheist community of Austin is who puts on this show. Talk Heathen, the atheist experience, secular sexuality, and many others that are not coming to mind right now because my brain. That said, if you like what we do and you want to support us, you can go to patreon.com/talkheathen to me. 2/3 of the way through the episode, I thank our patrons and our top 5 patrons. So if you want to become a patron, consider going to patreon.com/talkheathen to me. It is nearly 2/3 of the way through the episode. So I will be thanking our top 5 patrons after we're done talking to Father John, and we will be going to more calls after that. So while you still have time, and you can, patreon.com/talkheathen to me. Father John, thank you for waiting for that.
You're welcome. To be honest, I didn't really have a topic prepared because it just says you want to encourage a ongoing dialogue with theists and atheists about religion theism. So if you want a dialogue and if you have any questions about Orthodox Christianity, I'm not sure if you've ever talked about that before.
Yes.
Specifically, I'm with the Russian jurisdiction.
Yes. So Eastern Orthodox.
Yes.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Ooh, I have so many questions. But first of all, Father John, awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, actually, before you begin, I will tell you that I just discovered your show was on Friday. Google just served it up for some reason, and I looked at a few episodes, and I thought, these guys seem pretty nice. But then I generally don't have a problem talking to atheists.
And then I yelled at somebody earlier in the episode. Well, cheers, man.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Okay, so first off, my roommate, he's another YouTuber. He goes by Holy Kool-Aid, and he's been researching, and he just recently put out an episode. It seems that communal spoons for communion, where everyone shares the same spoon, is a thing that people do. These different, silver and gold or whatever the case is. But you have all of these parishioners who are right now, I'm seeing all of these people going to receive communion, and they're all sharing the same spoon. And it's freaking me out because I see COVID. Is that something that is just like a hard line in orthodoxy, or is that something that they're doing? Is that something that you think is right? What's the take on that?
Okay, I'll explain that.
Sure.
My understanding is that the custom actually began with St. John Chrysostom. He was an early bishop, and it was because people were coming and because the clergy actually receive in the hand, in the altar, on the holy table. But what was happening is
people were taking the host home.
Abuse was happening where people, yes, exactly. So the way he solved that problem is to have the body of Christ in the blood of Christ and serve it on a spoon. Now, from our understanding, St. Ignatius of Antioch, he referred to communion as the medicine of immortality, or the pharmaceutic of immortality. The idea is that this is healing, and it cannot spread any illness whatsoever. So that is the belief. However,
is that your belief?
It cannot. Yes, absolutely.
So
however,
just
understand.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, go ahead. From the outside, people who don't believe that would be extremely scared and have the reaction you're having right now.
Well, I mean, I absolutely. It looks like we've got a delay in the line, and you and I are both trying to be very polite. So are you saying that the transmission of COVID-19 cannot happen in church during communion?
Yes.
Okay. What about all of the times recorded that it has spread at church during communion? I mean, I can actually get names. Eastern Orthodox Russian, churches. Yes, Eastern Orthodox Catholic.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually really terrible. There was
The thing is that there have been many examples over the centuries where there have been serious illnesses and stuff, and people discard it. It hasn't been tracked to that. And the way this is going on, that there could be many different reasons it's caused. But the thing is, we have directives from Moscow specifically for people who do not believe this, because the secular authorities have the power to shut us down if they believe it's dangerous. So we have precautions specifically, not for those with lack of faith, for those who have no faith and are observing. So are you interested in those precautions so that this is not a problem even from the perspective of those who don't believe?
So first off, I do want to get you that information. I highly suggest you check out Holy Kool-Aid's most recent video, because he went into some detail and gave some details that I don't have on hand. That said, it's been, well, actually, no. I think the more important thing here is you're saying that there's a very specific circumstance, Holy Communion.
Yes.
Right. The act of partaking in the bread and the wine and the transubstantiation as it's described gets rid of.
We do not use the word transubstantiation. That's a Roman Catholic term that came from scholasticism.
Eastern Orthodox. That's right. I'm sorry. I okay. It takes there's so many sections and splits. I apologize. You're saying that transmission cannot happen, because that sounds not only not true according to everything we understand about virology and the way diseases spread, but it sounds like that could potentially be incredibly dangerous. I mean,
yeah, I agree that from your perspective and not believing it, that is the case. And that is why we have precautions, so that we would not have our churches shut down. Are you interested in those precautions? Because we are able to change things. This is not a hard set dogma that we have to follow as to how we do this.
Well,
it is a dogma that we can transmit disease through it, but we're following precautions so that people can't make such accusations that we are spreading this disease.
Well, I mean, any time you have a group of people when there's a pandemic together, you're going to get spreads of disease. I mean, you would even at least agree that other churches that don't.
I agree, but the thing is, you are attacking this practice, and I said we have precautions, but you don't seem to be interested in what those precautions are.
I am. I just want to get this piece because I feel like the transmission part is more important. I want to be very, very clear.
These are precautions to prevent transmission if what I said wasn't true, because that's why they're put in place specifically. Okay. So are you interested in those precautions?
I am. I also want this to continue to be a dialogue. Can I ask you along the way? So, like, can we have disposable spoons?
Well, how about I tell you what our precautions are, and then you can tell me. And each jurisdiction has a slightly different idea of how to do the precautions.
Okay, go for it.
The particular ones that we're following from Moscow is that we use the one spoon, and after a communicant has received, first of all, we are not touching the mouth with the spoon. We are dropping the Eucharist into the mouth, and afterwards we have a cloth that has spirits on it, 70% alcohol, because that's supposed to kill anything, and the spoon is wiped. And the communicant, rather than being wiped on communal cloth, has an individual piece of paper towel that they wipe their lips with and give it to an assistant, and then the spoon is rinsed in boiling water to remove the alcohol before the next communicant. So according to all science, this is supposed to be safe, and the reason is we do not. If this is the body and blood of Christ, and we believe it is, we do not want it going in the garbage or in the sewer or anything. So all this is either those little pieces of paper are burnt up afterwards, and this is purified in a proper way. But we are following these precautions not because we believe it can be transmitted, but people from outside who do not have our beliefs would not believe that and would be mortified to see what's going on. So that is how we're dealing with it.
So I appreciate that you're taking some steps. There's also the whole idea of packing a whole bunch of people together when this is something that's aerosolized and spread.
And we're not doing that. We're officially, the church is closed. We're following the amount of people that were in there. We're following all the directives that were given. We're following everything that the government has told us.
All right. I mean, hey, that's a whole lot better than I thought. Would you consider going door to door?
Door to door?
Yeah.
Well, I could.
Well, I mean, just to give communion.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant like the Jehovah's Witnesses or Mormons.
No. I'm trying to. If Jada wants to call in, I'm happy to talk to her.
Yeah, if that's necessary, we can bring Eucharist to the sick. That's why we reserve it. So we can bring it door to door. It all depends on the situation and how people want to do things.
All right. Well,
generally, we would follow every directive that the government gives us as long as it doesn't violate the faith. And I mean, it goes back to ancient Christianity where the Roman government required people to sacrifice to idols, and that wasn't possible. And so that was a government directive that we had no choice but had to disobey. And that's why we had many martyrs in the first few centuries.
So hold on just a second.
As long as the directive doesn't violate the faith, we will follow it because we have to be good citizens.
Well, so yeah, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. I get that. But I would also say that if you really think that people can't get sick this way, then are you willing to test it? I mean, surely you've read in the Bible that there are plenty of times that God has tested people, right? Testing it wouldn't be extra biblical. It wouldn't be impossible. Even Jesus showed himself to doubting Thomas. So would you test it?
Well, I'm not afraid of it at all, so it wouldn't be a test for me. I would just do it. It doesn't matter.
I'm saying to convince us.
Yes, I would. Yes, but
cool.
Why? I'm not about to violate any government regulations. So
yes. Also, I would like to go on record as saying Talk Heathen does not advocate trying to infect yourself with COVID in order to prove God to us.
No. What I'm saying is...
No. I understand. Yes. I would, but then I would not, exactly for that reason, I would not violate what has been handed down to us by our particular civil government.
So here's what I would love, and I will offer time on this platform if you do this. And I will tell people about it. And let me tell you what it would be. If you reached out to an accredited university near you that would be willing to partner with you on doing this, and then in a controlled environment that's safe, perform those rites on things to see if COVID-19 still exists there before and after, right? So if you have the wine before it becoming, the blood of Christ, and after, if your beliefs are true, then after there will be no evidence of COVID-19. And I would love to see that, because that evidence would be a hell of it would be a hell of a lot more convincing to me. And if you believe it,
right,
I don't see there being a problem. I would actually give you time to talk about it. I would tell people, hey, check out this study. They're putting their money where their mouth is. Would you be willing to do that?
No.
Why?
Specifically because that would be an abuse of the sacred things.
Well, so take it afterwards.
No. The thing is that we really are not interested in proving anything to anybody scientifically.
Well, then why are you making any steps?
We will talk. What's this?
Then why are you taking any steps if you're not trying to?
Well, why should we have our churches closed down and outlawed? We are following the law.
No, he's following the requirements from Moscow.
We are following the civil governments. We do not want to cause any problems.
Which I
Let's
appreciate.
to
I
deny
think
our
that
faith. We-
if people in the U.S. in evangelical Christian churches out here did the same thing, there
We'd be
would
further
probably
along.
be a lot better of a situation. So I do applaud that. That is a useful thing to do and being a good citizen. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Now,
That
we have
said,
had examples of people doing stuff like this. An example more recently would be St. John of Shanghai in San Francisco, where he had given communion to a sick woman. I believe it was rabies she had, and she threw up, and he immediately ate what she threw up because he believes that's the body and blood of Christ. And he had no hesitation, no fear, and he did not get rabies.
so
And this is in recent times. I forget when he reposed. I think it was in the 1950s.
Honestly, that very clearly goes to a point that I was wanting to move into. So I'm glad you brought that up. I think that's gross. I understand why you think it's awesome.
Yes.
I think it's gross.
Well,
I'm sure you see why I would
I
think it's gross.
I tend to agree. I do not have the faith of St. John of Shanghai.
Yeah. So that said, after communion, what happens to the rest of the wine?
Well, I'm actually a deacon, and I'm the least senior deacon, so I'm actually the one that consumes all that's remaining. So if anyone is sick, I would be the one who actually would receive it.
Let's clarify that for the listeners, because that's something I know and that's something you know, but that's not something that everybody knows.
I should also say that apparently this illness was among the population before we were given these directives and started following them. So if it was at all in the church, I would be the one to have received it.
Well, so it's not a guaranteed thing. There is a percentage, and there are actual cases. I do want you to look into where I told you to check out Holy Kool-Aid's most recent video, because there are Eastern Orthodox churches that have become horrible centers for disease that have just absolutely, because they wanted to hide the fact that everybody was getting it, it just got really, really bad. So I definitely suggest that you look into that, because I think that is proof positive against your claim. But that said, there's an interesting thing here. And the interesting thing that I would love for people to walk away with is whether or not flies land in the wine, whether or not it has backwash, whether or not there's a lot or a little, Father John will drink it afterwards to make sure that there's not a drop left, right?
Well, we should not be letting new flies touch it. If we're doing that, we are not actually following our obligation as clergy. So,
fair,
even in canon law, that if someone does not store the Eucharist properly in reservation for the sick, and rats eat it, he is to be, I believe he's to be defrocked. So, it's very serious that we believe this is the body and blood of Christ. So we are very protective of it. We will not be having flies landing in it. And as far as backwash, the only backwash that would be from the clergy, because the people receive from the spoon. But normally you would lick the spoon and stuff. But yes, I consume it all, because I believe it's the body and blood of Christ, and I can't get sick from it.
So,
in fact,
Father John,
I will add that often clergy who have a cold or something like that, they will ask me, "Can I receive the remaining?" And more often than not, the cold or whatever they're complaining of goes away afterwards.
Wow, kind of like what colds do.
Yeah, that's something that happens. But
absolutely. Yeah, well, immediately afterwards.
I hope
it doesn't always happen.
Father John, I hope that you don't get ill. I do, because I've seen what it's done to people. Just watching and following it on the news, I've seen how it's damaged families. I would hate for you to get ill. That said, I hope you understand, I would hate for people to take you seriously, because I think that they could potentially get it. You included.
I understand.
I don't want you to take you seriously.
Well, we actually don't expect people who don't believe to actually believe. If they believed and they didn't believe, that's a logical contradiction. So I wouldn't
Fair
expect you to think any otherwise as being an atheist.
Fair enough. Fair enough. How about you look into that video? Look into the documented cases of of the spread of COVID-19 in the Eastern Orthodox Church in Russia, and call back and let me know what you think, because I'd be very interested to see what you thought.
To be very honest, it's a very controversial issue just from a scientific perspective. So I would actually like to stay clear of the whole COVID-19 thing. I mean, we have, I guess it's around 500 physicians that spoke up not that long ago in the United States, saying there's some serious scientific misconduct in what has been reported and stuff. But so I think it's best that we stay clear of that topic altogether, simply because even within the scientific community, there's a great deal of controversy.
See, here's the thing, though. I feel like I have an ethical, moral responsibility that when it's brought up, and it appears to be a belief that could be very damaging to other humans, that it's my responsibility to use this platform to address them. And maybe calling in after the outbreak could be better, but right now I don't know how I could honestly look myself in the mirror without challenging those ideas if you're here to talk about it, because that is just the most important thing on my mind right now when it comes to Eastern Orthodoxy and the time and place that we're at.
Well, it seems this is going to be with us for at least a couple of years, so I'll have to phone back in a couple of years from now on that.
Well, I hope you keep watching. I hope you keep listening, and I appreciate you calling in. I hope you understand why I'm feeling compelled. Maybe you could call into the Atheist Experience, our big sister show, or you could call in when I'm not hosting to continue a conversation, maybe with V. But personally, I don't think that I could have a conversation that didn't address something that I felt was very, very dangerous.
Okay, yeah, but fine. But the reality is that we haven't really talked about anything much to do with the Orthodox faith, other than we believe this is the body and blood of Christ. And if we said anything else, we would be denying the Orthodox faith.
Well, I mean, I would say better to deny. I mean, I would say better to deny the faith if it is shown to hurt people. But the thing is, I don't know if we have enough time.
We are taking the precautions to prevent this from happening. Apparently, 70% alcohol will kill it. So, I mean, these precautions have been taken so that people making arguments such as yourself cannot argue against it, because we have taken these precautions. What's done elsewhere in the world, I can't speak to, because I don't know. And just because people call themselves Orthodox does not necessarily mean they are.
Well, it doesn't mean that they follow it the same way.
You open up a whole can of worms. So, I mean, that's there's a great deal of controversy about this, and this is just a topic that we'd be better off talking about rabies or some other contagious thing rather than specifically COVID-19, simply because of the controversy surrounding it.
Well, I appreciate that you stuck to your guns. I would love to see a good cited study for any kind of disease and the impact of what happens before and after that communion process, where you have something that is viewed as wine and then it is viewed as the blood of Christ, and whether or not in that process you have eliminated disease, because that would be something that would change the world. That would be something that would
never happen.
I mean, it would change the world. It would be incredible. We'd have Eastern Orthodox,
I doubt that.
I don't. About it. Could you imagine
all the miracles surrounding Christ, particularly resurrection, all that? If that was true, the vast majority of people didn't believe it, who actually witnessed it and stuff.
Yeah, but they don't have to believe it.
Why would a little? No. The thing is, the people at that time. This is how it's recorded. Very few actually believed. So, of the population, that's in Jerusalem, that would have seen many of these signs and stuff, if that happened. So, I wouldn't expect a little miracle here, a little there to convince everyone. No, I don't believe that. I really don't believe
it. It would help me a heck of a lot. Am I worth it?
Well, you would have to choose some other miracle to test, because we would not be putting the Eucharist through any scientific exam whatsoever, because that would be a violation of our faith.
I don't think so. I think Doubting Thomas did exactly that, and Jesus went to Doubting Thomas.
No, he didn't. And actually, Doubting Thomas, that's not really an Orthodox thing, because all the apostles doubted. All of them disbelieved.
It was
all of them did.
Okay, so if
and we don't refer to him as Doubting Thomas. He was the first apostle to say, "My Lord and my God." So he was actually the first one to proclaim that Christ was God.
Cool.
So that he made the first greatest profession of faith.
Okay, how about Paul?
What's this?
How about Paul?
Yes.
I mean, God cared enough about Paul to appear and have this miracle, right? Paul experienced this event on the road to Damascus. Does God care more about Paul than he does about me?
He cares about us all, but everyone's individual and goes through a different path. So, I mean, I have no idea where you're on your path, where you're going, and it's really none of my business. Paul, on the other hand, was a very specific thing. It's very specific happened, and it had nothing to do with performing scientific studies on the Eucharist, what happened to Paul. So, I mean, it's a very different situation. You can't compare the two.
What I'm saying is,
to do something that we're not allowed to do, whereas with Paul, well, that's perfectly allowable. If God chooses to do that, he can.
I'm saying you have biblical examples of God going out of his way to make himself known to the people who want spreading the word.
You're specifically asking me to do something that would be a violation of my faith in order to prove my faith. Like, that doesn't make any logical sense.
Well, I don't know if logic comes into it.
Do what you're saying.
So hold on. So any rigorous scientific study.
Hey guys, we're coming up on 2:30.
No.
Oh no. Okay, I'm sorry. And I was talking over. V had no chance to talk. Father John, once all this blows over, I'd love to talk to you again if you wanted to call when I wasn't hosting. Cheers. Okay. There are so many things that I have wrong with the church, but that one in particular right now was really, really important. And so I'm glad we talked about it to the degree that we did.
I'm not sure if I'll be able to call back, because generally I'm still, well, by the time you start, I'm kind of finishing up at church. And so, I mean, it was just the way things worked out today that I was actually even able to phone in. So,
would you do me a favor?
Yes.
Shoot me a message, mail@talkheathen.com.
Oh.
I would love to find a time to sit down with you for a longer amount of time to talk about things.
Okay. So what was that address again? Or where can I find it?
So it's right on the bottom third. If you go back and watch this, it's mail, M-A-I-L, @talkheathen.com.
Okay.
All right. Take care, man. Thank you for calling.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I'm so sorry, V.
I just want to clarify something from where I stand. I consider I have my own issues with the Orthodox Church and the proposal that for some reason God is forbidding us the ability to scientifically prove whether or not a claim that God made is true. I feel like that is suspect and should be talked about more. But the idea of secular humanism is to allow everybody to worship as they please within restrictions that will protect humankind. Okay. And I think that the concept of the Orthodox Church working with the secular government in a way that is not overreaching in either way to make sure that they are taking the necessary precautions is actually a really good example of what we need here in the United States. So I'm actually kind of disappointed in the way that call went, because I would have liked to drill into that a little bit more, but
I'm sorry,
yeah, that's my 2 cents.
I hope it calls in. I really kind of took the reins on that and shot ahead. And I'd love to see that conversation had more. People are saying in the chat, well, this person has got is representative of all of this. The show is here for people who don't agree with us to call in and talk to us about those beliefs. And if I would have torn in and gone for the jugular, we would not have had him sharing as much of what he believes and why he believes those things. Do I think that those things can be dangerous? Yeah. Do I think that there have been a lot of abuses? Yeah. We're here to have the conversation. I'm glad you're angry, but that's not going to prevent us from talking to him. It's because of that we are.
Do we want to thank those patrons before we
I
get
do.
to one last call?
You got it. Oh no, we have more theists we have more than one theist on the line. Okay, fine. I want to thank our top 5 patrons. Y'all are amazing. I want to thank Eric, Desert Heathen, Bethany, the Barefoot Gardener, Ward, and Cully, and Charlotte, because all 3 of them are tied. So I just want to say thank you so much. If it wasn't for your patronage, we would not be able to have the amazing crew and be able to do the amazing things that the ACA has been doing and continues to do and aspires to do. I know we're not done yet, and I know we want to take another call, but can we move to that crew cam? I know I'm dropping it on them quickly, but if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to do this.
Woo!
Hey! Not everybody's in there right now, but what I do want to say is, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. There's no way that this would happen without it. And I have been trying to do live stuff by myself, and it is nightmarish. Trying to handle a lot of the technical things that nobody ever thinks of it's wild. And from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. They're using programs, they're using software that costs money. And that is part of where those donations are going. That's part of where that support is going. Other shows that are starting up that have good reasons to be going out there, that's where some of that is going. You know, some of it's going to other organizations who are, it's good work. And I just want to say thank you to all of you who have been able to support us. And if you haven't, and you're here and you're watching and you're sharing it out, if you're hitting that thumbs up button, it helps. All of it helps. It spreads it. And we want this conversation continued. We want this conversation to go everywhere possible. And so if you want to help and you can't afford it, totally fine. That is most of us. No huge expectation there. Hit the like button. Share it out on social media, because that will expand that base and we'll be able to reach more people. So thank you. That said, among the theists, who are we going to talk to next, V?
Let's talk with Caleb in Pennsylvania.
Okay, and I want you to take the lead because I just stomped all over that last call and I feel terrible. There's
Caleb.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hi, it's good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I just
Awesome.
want to say real quick, I want to echo your shout out to the crew people because they are killing it.
They
Yeah,
really
they
I know
are.
how hard it is to work tech, so thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, what can we help you with today?
Yeah, so I was just kind of wondering, and it really goes along with the previous caller that was just on. For you guys as atheists, like, what does a contributing, healthy faith community in your local community look like for you guys? Like, to think of people who disagree with you and form their own little faith communities, like, and contribute to society.
Sure.
What does that look like?
Yeah,
does
that
that
is a
look like?
really good question. And I do want to make that clear that we are all for faiths of various orientations and denominations and beliefs, as long as they are not infringing on the rights of other people. And, you know, kudos to them if they're going above and beyond and actively contributing to their community. And a lot of churches do. I know that there are some protests going on this weekend, and there are Amish and Mennonite communities out there protesting, holding signs saying Black Lives Matter, saying I can't breathe, which are important things to be doing right now. And it's peaceful. It's not violating their oath of nonviolence, but they are out there and they're contributing. And it's not, I will help you as long as you convert or as long as you believe the way I believe, and I'm not going to make you sit through a sermon or a prayer in order to help. But because I am motivated by this good faith, I am going to go out and do something about it and help. So I would say any church that helps feed the homeless, or helps find or fund women's shelters, or gets out there and helps with protests, or contributes to bailout caches. Any of these things are all very useful and very important. And I know people in my own life who are Christian who are doing this. The only caveat I would have there is, are you requiring something from it? Are you requiring? I know there was it Franklin Graham, I believe, who set up a COVID-19 treatment center, but would only allow people to be treated and enter the site if they were Christians and would sign a pledge saying that they disagreed with homosexuality and all of these things that made them and it was required in order to get help. So that is manipulation as far as I'm concerned. But people getting out there and helping the community without adding that requirement, I think is awesome and should be celebrated.
Yeah, I totally agree. I couldn't agree more. I'm actually on staff at a church, and the way that we we're always trying to figure out how we can be part of our community without, we don't want to change our beliefs, but we don't want to hurt people or make people meet a certain standard before we can help them.
So I do have to be a bit of a fly in the ointment here.
Good. I'm glad.
But Eric, flies can't be in the ointment. That's against God's plan.
Well played, V. Well played. So when it comes to working together to build a better world, I agree. That said, I want people to believe and understand things for good reasons. I want them to have the best tools available to apply to the world that they're in. And where I'm at, the tools that I use got me to here. And the tools that you use got you to where you are. And what drives me, what makes me excited, what keeps me up until sunrise talking to people about, is figuring out where those tools are different, if they're good to hold on to, and how to differentiate between them. And therein is the rub. I don't think that, I think that's a second level, right? I think V hit the most important piece when it comes to building a society together, but it's not enough for me.
Well, there's certainly something to be said for, there's certainly something to be said for being open-minded enough and pursuing the best reasoning available in order to better help your community, right? The reason we have hope in this pandemic is because there are scientists who have dedicated their lives to creating treatments and vaccines and the ability to fight this disease, right? And that is them being good citizens. That is them contributing to their community through learning more things and researching and becoming more knowledgeable people. So there is something certainly to be said for the societal benefit of bettering yourself in terms of research, in terms of skepticism, in terms of looking at all of the evidence in order to be that good citizen. So yeah, I definitely think that ties in there.
Okay. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thank you for calling. It was a good question and kind of a palate cleanser. So thank you.
Yeah. Palate cleanser.
Cool. Thanks.
Take care, man.
Bye.
You know, I wanted to, and I didn't say it, and I really wanted to say it in that last call, and that was, I was going to say, well, if you think that I'm sorry, I'm still on the Father Jonathan call. It's still got me, Father John call. I was going to say, then eat it afterward. If you're worried about it being wasted, then just after this, study, then eat it. But anyway, sorry, I'm all over the place. That was a palate cleanser. V, is there anything else that we're missing?
Well, that was our last call, so I think we are good. I do want to make sure we get the crew cam up one more time, though, because I don't think everybody was on last time. So let's make sure that
There
we're
they
shouting everybody
are.
out. Woo!
Yay! Hey,
Love y'all.
everybody.
And
Hey,
it's the cat
kitty.
again. Yes.
Thank you so much. Well, so then I've got another little spiel, and that is that people are gathering together all over the United States, and they're doing so for, I think, good reasons. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be safe. Take care of yourself. Be protected. You know, we're still doing our best to slow the transmission and spread of things. And I understand that some things are worth going out for. Please be safe. We're hoping for you. We're thinking for you. We're thinking about you. You're thinking for yourselves. See, I'm all over the place. I didn't sleep well last night. I've been thinking about this constantly.
We'll keep
Whether you
doing
believe-
our best over
Yeah.
here. And we're here for you as well. The only
Whether
way
you-
things are going to change are if things change. And
Agreed.
sometimes that's hard. But it's
Whether-
worth it.
Yes. Sorry, I've still a little bit of a delay. Sorry, B. Whether you believe or not, if you're putting yourself out there to help keep us safe, everything from working in hospitals to stocking grocery stores, thank you. You're doing your part, we're doing ours. To those of you who don't believe, we're building a community. We're doing the best we can. We're glad you made it. Because every week we come in and there's more. Every week there are people coming in sharing their stories. I see those emails. You know what? For every hate comment, for every rough, rude thing, there's so many more people who are reaching out and saying, hey, this helped. Thank you. B, you ready?
I'm ready.
I want to move into the Discord after this. If you haven't been on Discord, hop into Discord and you can come and talk to us. To those of you who do believe,
We don't hate you.
Oh, wait.
We just think you're wrong.
Hold on. I forgot. Love rings. We didn't do the love rings. Let's see. Because I will hate myself for a week if I don't do it. 3, 2, 1. Yes. Okay. Can we try that again?
After you.
Okay. To those of you who do believe, we don't hate you.
Hate you.
We just think you're wrong.
You're wrong.
What are we doing, man? What are we doing?
No, you're done.